The rusted entrance gates of the Soviet Tavredleme, one of strong and fascinating industrial graveyard on Earth. This facility produced over 400,000 metric tons of titanium dioxide annually during its peak operation from 1989.
Its citizens before the facility was abandoned due to toxic waste violations and economic collapse.
Titanium dioxide particles suspended in the soil here measure 3,400 higher than the state's tons. The average life expectancy for workers at this facility was only 52 years, nearly 20 years below the Soviet national average during the same period. Over 2,800 tons of radioactive thorium waste were improperly stored in unlined concrete basins that have since cracked and leaked into the groundwater. The primary titanium smelting furnace reached temperatures of 18 to required 50 megawatts of continuous powering cycles. Chlorine gas leaks from the electrolytic process cells killed both officials record between 1985 reported only 12 fatalities. The titanium produced here was primarily used for Soviet military aircraft and submarine hulls, with less than 8% allocated to civilian applications. Each worker was required to wear a dosimeter badge that was collected and analyzed monthly, though routine safe levels often went to avoid production shutdowns. The cooling pond contains approximately 15 million gallons of contaminated water, making it more acidic than lemon juice. Soviet engineers developed a unique method of titanium extraction here using molten salt electrolysis that was later copied by Chinese and American facilities. The wind rushing through broken windows creates a constant moral assumed responses in psychological study. The facility once employed 3,400 workers across 3 shifts, operating continuously for 24 years without a single day of scheduled closure, making it one of the strongest Soviet industrial constructions still standing after 60 years of abandonment. Groundwater samples taken in 2019 showed titanium concentrations in high and background levels. A Clive report to Maintis of Uyghurs smuggling titanium scraps through the ventilation system for sale on the black market. The on-site medical facility contains over 400 patient files documenting respiratory diseases that were deliberately misclassified as common colds to avoid investigation. Underground tunnels connect all team in the safe. The Soviets stored chlorine gas in pressurized tanks rated for 50 years, and we are now 35 years past their design safety expiration date. This ventilation system moved 2.4 million cubic feet of air per hour, making it one of the largest industrial air systems in the Soviet Union. Workers nicknamed this facility the Great Cathedral because the titanium dust coated every surface in a fine silver layer that sparkled under industrial lighting. The main smokestack rises 180 meters and contained an internal lining of refractory brick designed to withstand temperatures of 1600 degrees Celsius. The concentration of heavy metals in the soil around this facility prevents normal decomposition, meaning the dead trees you see have remained standing for over 30 years without rotting. I'm crossing a shallow stream contaminated with runoff from the waste storage area, carefully stepping on stones to avoid direct contact with the toxic water. Insulation materials used throughout this facility contain asbestos concentration 5%, requiring full HAZ protocols for any extended exploration. The control room still contains original instrumentation made of titanium alloy, worth an estimated $2.3 million if it could be safely extracted and sold. Tram system that once transported workers between residential areas and the factory traveled 22 kilometers on elevated tracks that are now slowly collapsing. Scientists have identified 47 species of fungi, including 3 previously unknown species that metabolize heavy metals.
1964 to 1964 due to the antimicrobial properties of titanium surface coatings.
A partial building collapse in 2012 exposed a previously sealed section of the facility that had been classified in KG Archives as Special Storage Area Number 7. The classified section contained titanium alloy numbers that correspond to missing naval inventory records. The environmental impact assessment conducted in 2015 estimated it would cost $890 million and take 45 years to fully remediate this site. The tight passage between the collapsed section and the main corridor requires careful navigation through a gap only 40 centimeters wide. The pressure gauges in this section still register 2.3 atmospheres, indicating the sealed environment has maintained partial pressurization for 35 years. Ultraviolet light reveals titanium dust particles suspended in the air throughout this facility, creating a permanent metallic fog invisible to the naked eye. The floor grating ahead has corroded significantly, and I need to test each section before putting my full weight on it. The original blueprints for this facility were destroyed in 19 lost out, and this aviamentary documentation of the site's full layout. This elevator shaft descends 80 meters to the lowest processing level where titanium ore was received from the rail link below. The retaining wall holding back the waste sludge pond has developed a crack 3 meters long and growing 2 centimeters per year. Wind speeds at the top of the administrative tower reach 60 kilometers per hour due to the elevation and lack of surrounding structures. From this vantage point, I can see the entire 3.4 square kilometer facility and the surrounding contamination zone spreading into the forest. The final sunset light transforms the titanium dust on every surface into a sparkling blanket of silver crystals. After hours of exploration through toxic environments, I need to wash the accumulated dust from my skin before continuing to the final section. Stretched 127 kilometers through the Siberian wilderness and required 14 bridges to cross major rivers. The power substation that supplied 180 megawatts to this facility remains connected to the regional grid, though no power has flowed here since 1989. The emergency bunker beneath the administrative building contains enough supplies to sustain 200 people for 30 days, all now expired and dangerous. The paint used throughout this facility contains lead levels 40 times higher than modern safety standards allow, creating a persistent toxic dust that settles on every surface. Workers in this section of the factory were required to shower for exactly 12 minutes at the end of each shift to remove titanium dust before entering clean areas. The changing room still contains 400 lockers with personal items left behind when the facility was abandoned in 1989. The final section of our exploration leads to the titanium casting hall, where molten metal was poured into molds at 1668 degrees Celsius. These crucibles each held 4 tons of molten titanium and were lined with graphite that is still intact after 35 years of abandonment. The overhead crane in this hall could lift 50 tons and was operated by a single worker from that glass booth 30 meters above the floor. The final sunset light streams through the broken skylights for exactly 8 minutes at this time of year, illuminating the casting floor in golden beams. Our exploration starts.